Hi guys, and welcome back to another video. If this is your first time in my channel, hi, my name is Abir and I am a senior at Arizona State University. I'm majoring in Aerospace Engineering with a concentration in Astronautics, and I am also a first year graduate student in Aerospace Engineering at the same university. I make a lot of videos about college, how to stay motivated, advice about how to choose your major. If you're really interested in aerospace engineering, then I give a pretty good insight on what to expect. So if that's something that sounds good to you, then please subscribe and leave a comment below if you're new to my channel. Alright, in this video I'll be talking about one of the most asked questions, or the frequently asked questions. A lot of people leave comments and they also send me messages on Instagram about aerospace engineering and how it's different from mechanical engineering, and also how aerospace engineering has two branches, pretty much aeronautics and astronautics. How are those two different from each other, and also if aerospace engineering is worth it. So first and off, I want to really discuss the question that I get a lot, which is if I do aerospace engineering, is it going to be worth it for me? And I'm going to be as honest as I can with you guys, so don't take it really personal. I'm just trying to give you advice from someone who's been through it and know kind of the details of the major itself and how challenging it can be. We are all humans here in this world. We're born, we're raised by a certain family in a certain environment. The fortunate enough of us go to school, and then by high school you're expected to choose a major or something that you want to do. I feel like when in high school you're still really young, but you're expected to make a decision that's probably that's not the age for, in high school you're expected to pretty much choose a major where you're going to be doing for the rest of your life. And when I was in high school, this is from my own experience, I was really good. I was a straight A student in my country. For you who don't know, I'm from Morocco, so I went to high school in Morocco. In my concentration in high school, we had this thing that you pick what you want to do, was pretty much physics. And I was really good in biology, and I really enjoyed biology. So one of my choices was kind of go into med school, and for the last year of high school, I kind of changed my mind. I was like, oh, I actually prefer physics better. But right after high school, I still haven't made my decision. I still didn't know what I'm going to do. Medical school was the only thing that was in my mind. But right after high school, I came to the United States, and I was suddenly put in another environment where I kind of had to get used to how things work here. So I did so much research. I can't even explain to you guys how much research I've done about med school. And I realized that it was going to be really expensive. I really can't go through it, and it just didn't sound very practical to me, because although I was kind of passionate about it, I didn't feel like I was passionate enough to justify the time and the amount of money I'm going to have to put to it. So what I did is that I pretty much sat with myself and I asked myself the question, what do you want to do with your life, Abir? And keep in mind, this is the 18-year-old me, which is not too far long ago. I'm 23 right now, so it's 5 years ago. I had to sit with myself and be really honest about what I want to do with my life, because this is a decision that's pretty much gonna make my life. This is something that I'm gonna be doing for the rest of my life if I'm fortunate enough. So I sat down and I channeled my inner, I don't know, I want to make it sound very cheesy, but I pretty much asked myself the question, what do you want to do with your life? At first, I was I'm really interested in space. I grew an interest in space that I didn't really have when I was in middle school or something, just because I'm from a third world country where having those kind of hobbies, wondering about space and things, was not really it's not in our media. For example, here in America, a lot of kids watch stuff on TV that's space related. Oh, NASA did this. A lot of people know about NASA, but from back home, your parents, if you made it in life, you would become a doctor. So when I came here, I knew about space before, I knew about everything, but I'd never really researched it deep enough to kind of have an understanding of it. But when I moved to the United States, I pretty much grew an interest in it, and I'm oh my god, that's so cool. That sounds like something that I would love doing for the rest of my life. So the first thing I did, after doing a lot of research, so keep in mind, this didn't happen overnight. It was a process. So I did a lot of research and I was like, okay, I want to be in the space industry. And when I applied to ASU the first time, I actually applied as an undergraduate in astrophysics. And those of you who don't know what astrophysics is, it's pretty much the study of celestial bodies and the physics of all, like, our universe, pretty much. And I was really excited about it. However, I sat with myself some more and I was like, well, what am I gonna do with this? Like, let's say I do graduate and I go to grad school, or I don't. What would I do with this? I mean, it sounds really interesting, but what is my ultimate goal? I'm like, well, if it works well enough, then that means I'm pretty much gonna have my degree. I'm gonna graduate, and it's, unless I go the research route, unless I go the research route, I don't really have any other choice. Like, kind of, if I pretty much get my undergrad and then go to grad school and then get my PhD and become a professor and do research. That's the only, like, logical path that I saw for astrophysics. And then I'm like, that's not really what I wanted to do. Like, I'm not, like, research is important to me, but I don't want to make it a lifelong thing, you know? So I thought, and I'm like, well, I'm more of a hands-on, like, applicable, I want to see applicable stuff. Like, theory is good and all, but I want to see things, I want to make things, I want to make sure that, like, whatever I do changes the world, and in a certain, not to say that research doesn't, but it's just harder that way than actually, like, being involved in a project where you're pretty much making a satellite that freaking is gone to space, and it helps with the research that the astrophysicists are actually doing, you know? And then I'm like, damn, like, I don't see anything, like, I don't think I'm gonna enjoy that. And I went to the engineering side. I'm like, well, the only thing that's pretty much applicable is engineering. And I decided to go aerospace. I'm like, oh my god, there's actually this thing that's called Aerospace Engineering. Because in the beginning, I thought that aerospace was only about building airplanes and helicopters and that's it, you know? And I was like, well, I'm not really interested in airplanes or, like, fighter jets or anything like that. However, Arizona State University had another branch where it's called Astronautics. So the first branch I talked about, where you build airplanes and fighter jets and helicopters, is aeronautics. So aero, pretty much anything that's in the atmosphere of Earth. However, there's another branch, which is what I'm doing, and it's called astronautics. And it's everything that's outside of the atmosphere of Earth. So satellites, launch vehicles, anything like rovers that go on the moon, like things like that, is pretty much astronautics. And that's what I decided to go with, because I'm like, well, I'm kind of like doing both at the same time. Like, I'm studying space to a certain point, like not too much, but at the same time I'm doing something more applicable that I can relate to, you know? And yeah, that's pretty much the story of how I chose to become an astro student. Going back, I digress. Going back to the question of, is aerospace engineering worth it? To be completely honest with you, I do not like that question. When someone is like, was it worth it? I just don't like it. Because a lot of people think that, oh, people go to medical school, people go to engineering school, and they go all through that stuff and they make six figures and then they're rich. That doesn't happen overnight. So med students, like, have to be in medical school for years before they actually make a little bit of money. Engineering students also, not as much time. They don't spend as much time in medical school. However, they go through a lot of stuff before they actually reach the point they want to be at. So for example, my class is 35 people. Like, for astronautics, it's only 35 people. That means the people, the graduate, like the class is gonna graduate this May, is only 34 people. And we started with more people than that. So you do the math. A lot of people actually dropped. So what I'm trying to say is that if you go into this field thinking that, well, I'm just gonna push through it as much as I can, and then at the end of all of this, I'm gonna make a lot of money, and then it's gonna be all worth it. That's not how it works. I can guarantee you, you are not gonna last if that's how you're doing it. You are not gonna last. So many people dropped with that, came into the major with that mindset, and then they just switch, or they switch to business, or like they drop aerospace and they're like, well, I don't think I can do this. So what I'm trying to say is that do something when you're really passionate about it, because it's something you're going to be doing for the rest of your life. Money is only is only helpful for a certain amount of time. If you're doing this for 20 years, you're gonna rather be happy than have money. So do something that you are happy about. Like, don't get into this stuff for money, because you are not gonna last. A lot of people really don't last unless you're really passionate about this. Like, you have to put so much effort and so much work into what you're doing. So unless you have this ambition that can keep you going through all of those obstacles that come your way, you are not gonna reach the point you want to reach. So if you tell me, oh, Abir, but I am 100% sure this is what I want to do, like I'm so sure about it, then I will say, okay, that's cool. Keep in mind that the money is just a side effect. So like, you're happy, you're doing something you love, and then you're getting paid for it. Like, oh my god, this is great. So it's just a side effect. It shouldn't be the number one, it shouldn't be your priority in this case. Alright, so if you tell me, no, I am 100% sure that this is what I want to do, then I will be like, awesome, this is great, because I am not like trying to scare you guys off or like be like, no, unless you're like a genius and this is what you want to do, you're not going to make it here. That's not the purpose of this video or the purpose of my channel. As I told you before, the reason why I started my channel is to actually encourage more people, especially females, to pursue aerospace engineering. However, you do need to have some kind of love and respect and ambition for this field to be successful. It's just how it works. So right now, I'm going to be talking to you about the differences between mechanical engineering and aerospace engineering, and also the difference between pretty much mechanical, aeronautics, and astronautics. Because a lot of people ask me, what is the difference between all of them, and how are they, like, is one or the other harder, or so on and so forth. So yeah, let's get right to it. Alright, first I'm gonna put my nerdy glasses on, just because I'm blind. And I'm gonna be looking downwards at my laptop because, but you guys are gonna see everything on the screen. I'm pretty much just gonna go through the major map and show you the differences between all three, the two branches of aerospace and mechanical engineering, just for you to get an idea about how they're different. And keep in mind, these are majors. Like, I'm just talking about my school. I haven't been to other universities, so I don't really know how it works. But I can kind of tell you that it's pretty similar for those schools that offer aeronautics and astronautics as two different sections, because some schools don't. Some schools only offer aerospace engineering and that's it. They don't give you a choice to pick different branches, so keep that in mind as well. Okay, so first of all, I'm just gonna compare astronautics and aeronautics together, and I'm also gonna like tell you the differences between them. However, after that, I am gonna take astro, which is what I did, and compare it with mechanical, just to show you how different it is. Okay, so if we start with aeronautics, you can see that for the first term, well, the first 2 years are pretty general. You're taking English, you're taking chemistry classes, like physics classes, just everything to prepare you for the actual more of a major related classes. So like, to be completely honest, the first 2 years for me were a little bit boring. I was pretty much taking classes that I've like with material that I've already seen before. So like, if you get bored in the first 2 years, I would say just push through it. It's gonna get better. Okay, so for the first term for aeronautics, you're pretty much taking English 101 and 102. You're taking a math class, which is Calculus for Engineers 1. So yeah, you're gonna be taking a lot of math classes, and this class is pretty much what it entails, like as the title says, it's pretty much calculus for engineers. And you'll be taking, just ignore the ASU 101 thing. It's just a school thing that pretty much like gets you prepared for your classes. And then you would take chemistry for engineers, and then general chemistry 2. Well, actually, you get a choice. You pretty much pick between the general chemistry for engineers or just general chemistry 2. That's just a chemistry class. You take a class, Introduction to Engineering, and you take a humanities class, and pretty much that's it. That's about 16 credits. So if you go to Astronautics, it's pretty much the same thing. You take English 101 or 102, and you take the math class, which is the same, Calculus for Engineers, and you take the ASU 101 class, you take chemistry class, you take the Introduction to Engineering. So in this case, you can see that you have two different choices for that one, the Introduction to Engineering, or you can take Introduction to Exploration, which is actually not with the engineering school, but it's with, I think this, what does it stand for, SES? I think it's Space Exploration something school. And that's the school that has the astrophysics that I was talking about. So you get the choice to take either one, and you also have a humanities class. So it's pretty much similar except for the intro class where you can pick either Introduction to Engineering or Introduction to Exploration. Okay, moving on to term 2, which is the second semester of your freshman year. You're pretty much taking the second semester of English, and you're taking elementary linear algebra, you're taking Calculus for Engineers 2, you're taking Physics 1, which is mechanics, you're taking Physics lab for that mechanics class, and you're taking Introduction to Programming in MATLAB. So MATLAB is really, really important. That's why there is a separate class for it, because we use MATLAB as a tool to pretty much, for everything. Like, you're going to be using it for the rest of your career. Well, I would say career because some companies don't use it, but pretty much the rest of your schooling, you're going to be using MATLAB. So that's why there's a separate class for it. And then you're just going to be taking like a social behavioral science class, which you pick yourself. So if you go back or if you compare Astro to it for term 2, it's pretty much similar. You're taking the second semester of English, and you're taking elementary linear algebra, Calculus for Engineers 2, the same physics class, mechanics, and the lab with it. You're taking Intro to MATLAB, and then SVS. So it's pretty much the same. But notice that you have a pretty fair load of math classes and physics. So that's what I'm saying. It's going to be a lot of, you know how they say in high school, oh, don't take two science classes at the same time. That's not a choice here. Like, you just take 4 science classes in one semester. Like, all of your classes are actually science classes. So yeah, there's a good amount of math in aerospace engineering. Okay, let's say you're in your second year. Woo, you're now a sophomore. If we compare the first year of sophomore year for aeronautics, you're taking MA 201, which is Mechanics of Particles and Rigid Bodies, the first part of this class. I forgot to mention, this major map is not mine. Like, it's not my year's major map, it's the 2018-2019. So let's say like we're coming in fresh to college right now. Mine shouldn't be that different, except they separated like one class into 2 sections because it was too long, but it's pretty much the same thing. All right, let's say you're in Aero, and then you're in sophomore year. You're going to be taking Mechanics of Particles and Rigid Bodies, Statics, Calculus for Engineers 3. So you're going to be taking Calculus like 1, 2, and 3. And this in your first semester of sophomore year, you're still going to be taking Calculus. You're going to take differential equations, which is really, really important. You're going to be taking the second part of university physics, and this one is about electricity and magnetism. And you're going to be taking your first kind of interesting non-sciencey class, which is EE202, and this is circuits. So for aerospace, EE, like electrical engineering, is really important. However, more important for Astro than Aero, but you are going to be taking electrical engineering classes. For Aero, it is very basic, so it's pretty much just like 101, like how does circuit work, what is a resistor, what is this, pretty much just quite straightforward. Alright, so these are the classes you will be taking for your first year of sophomore, and it's pretty much 16 credits. However, for astronautics, as you can see, it's pretty much kind of the same. It is the same, actually. You're taking the same class, which is Mechanics of Particles and Rigid Bodies, Statics, Calculus for Engineers 3, Differential Equations, Electricity and Magnetism, and then Circuits 1. So the third semester of college is literally like the same. And you are going to be seeing Aero students in the same classes with you for a long time. So you're going to be friends with them and pretty much seeing them at the same. A lot of people actually don't make a decision until junior, like some people actually either switch back to aero or switch to astro. Alright, going back to aero for the 4th semester, woo, your 2nd semester, sophomore year. Now you're taking the second part of mechanics of particles, rigid body, which is dynamics. So the first part was statics, and now it's dynamics, like moving objects. And you're taking mechanics of materials. So this is more of a mechanical class, and you're gonna be taking this class with a lot of mechanical engineers as well. Well, actually, you're going to be seeing a fair amount of mechanical engineers. Like your major is pretty like similar for the first few semesters. So mechanics of materials, so pretty much like stress and everything that you need to know about pretty much every material in there. And you're going to be taking introduction to fluid mechanics. So this is like your first kind of like intro to thermodynamics class. You're taking a computer aided engineering one. So this class is not MATLAB class, it's actually a SolidWorks class. And for those of you who don't know what SolidWorks is, it's pretty much a class for, it's a CAD software pretty much. So you're like designing different parts, and they're teaching you the software to use. And this class, really important, is Advanced Mathematical Methods for Engineers, which in our class we call MAE 384. And this class was taught to me, a lot of people say I say that word wrong, but it's just my accent, by the actual professor who I really respect. She was the actual chair for Aerospace Engineering, for undergraduate Aerospace and Mechanical. And it is really important. That class is super important. So if you go into ASU, I would definitely recommend you pay a lot of attention in that class, because it's going to come and haunt you later. Alright, and then you're taking University Physics Lab 2. And for some reason they're doing it in two separate, like the lab and the class are in two separate semesters. Alright, so if we compare it to Astro for our 4th semester, it's pretty much the same classes. MAE 384 is there as well, so it's the exact same thing. It's not different at all. Alright, moving on to term 5. So woo, now you're a junior. Oh my god. Honestly, to be completely honest with you guys, junior year was the hardest. So yeah, prepare yourselves. And this is where you're kinda gonna start seeing a difference. So for junior year, if you're in aeronautics, you're gonna take your first aerodynamics class. It's gonna be awesome. So for this one, you're pretty much studying airfoils and like just everything that comes with airfoils, different types of airfoils, all the physics of airfoils. It's gonna be great. And then you're taking introduction to thermodynamics. I actually enjoyed that class. And you're gonna be taking applied experimental statistics. So this is not like more of an engineering class, it's more of like statistical analysis, like how if you do an experiment and then you have this bunch of data, like how do you process it, you know, like it's a lot of stuff. And then you're taking MAE 318, which is System Dynamics and Control, which was a little too crazy. I kind of enjoyed that class. Alright, so that's for aeronautics. And then for astronautics, as you can see, you're going to see the difference now. So for astro, you have the same class, aerodynamics. You're taking Intro to Thermodynamics, Applied Experimental Statistics, Systems Dynamics. However, there's an extra class that you're going to be taking, which is Electrical Engineering class, Signals and Systems 1. This is where I say that EE classes are more important for Astro than Aero. So Aero students are not going to be taking that many EE classes. However, we did take a lot of them. Alright, saying you're in 2nd semester of junior year. And as you can see, as we progress, you see how like your classes get more specific. They're not as general anymore. It's not like just, oh, physics, math. It's more of actual like different niches of the field pretty much. So for aeronautics, you're taking fundamentals of aircraft design, you're taking aircraft dynamics and control, taking aerospace structures and materials, high-speed aerodynamics, which is even crazier than the regular aerodynamics you saw earlier. High-speed aerodynamics, that means you're going at freaking it's pretty much what it says. You're just going at high speed, because whenever everything's high speed, for some reason it just gets more complicated. Alright, so you're going to be taking high-speed aerodynamics, and then you're taking an easy social behavioral sciences class. And you're going to see the difference here for between aero and astro. So for the 6th term, your 2nd semester of junior year for astronautics, you will be taking space vehicle dynamics and control. So as you can see, this one is totally different from aero. You're taking space vehicle dynamics and control. You're taking aerospace structures and materials, which is the same as your aero counterparts. And you're going to be taking high-speed aerodynamics, which is the same as your aero counterparts. However, you again have another EE class. So this is really important. A lot of people don't know this, but you are going to be taking a lot of electrical engineering classes as an astro, and that's random signal analysis. So as you can see, it's totally different from, well, you have two classes in common, but everything else is pretty different. And this is when you stop seeing your mechanical engineering friends and you stop seeing your aero friends in the same classes as you. Alright, let's say now you're a senior. Oh my god, you made it this far. This is great. Alright, so for aeronautics for senior year, it's pretty much completely different from astro. Now you're gonna stop seeing your friends pretty much from aero. So for aeronautics, they're taking aircraft propulsion. They're taking vibration analysis, which I heard is this crazy class. We don't have to take it, but I heard really crazy stories about it. Engineer profession is one of the classes that both of you are going to be taking. Like, you might see them together, but there's so many of them then you might not see your friends. Engineer profession is pretty much just about the actual profession itself, like what goes into it once you go out and become an engineer. Like, there's really nothing too technical about that class, but it just gives you an idea about the actual field outside and like how it is. And then you can take an upper division elective. Technical electives, you pretty much pick and choose what you want. So a lot of aero that want to kind of get a taste from astronautics, they would take rocket propulsion too, which is probably a bad idea, because a lot of students usually are like, oh my god, why did I do this? Why did I put myself in this? But a lot of students, you can pick another technical elective, which has to be an MAE class, and you take a humanities class. For astro on the other side, now you're getting to your capstone, which is the one that has a star on it, AEE 445, Fundamentals of Spacecraft Design. So this is your first semester of, so it is your first semester of capstone design. So the difference between us and aerospace, between astro and aero, is that astro have 1 semester for capstone and we have 2 semesters for capstone, which means our capstone spans on a whole year. So it is kind of crazy. Alright, so you take your first semester of capstone design class, which is Fundamentals of Spacecraft Design. You take rocket propulsion, as you saw earlier. Aero took aircraft propulsion. You take engineering profession, which is pretty much the same. And now you have one thing that is different. Instead of having just a general, like in aero, you have technical elective class. This has to be an EEE technical elective. So you have choice between 2 classes, communication networks and like communication something. So you have to take an EE class. And I stress once again that the EE, the electrical engineering part for astro, is quite prominent in this division. And then you take a humanities arts and design class, which is pretty easy. Alright, so last semester, oh my god, you're graduating. That means you reached my semester right now. And for aero, as you can see, you're taking AE 468, which is their first semester, or the only semester of capstone for aero. And you're taking AE 462, which is Space Vehicle Dynamics and Control. And as you remember, you saw this class before. So they take this just to kind of give them an idea about, just a general idea about astro side. And you're taking another upper division upper division technical elective, which has to be an MAE, I believe. And then you're taking just an upper division humanities and arts class. However, for astro, for the last semester, you're taking space systems design, which is your 2nd semester of your capstone, which is what I'm in right now. And you're taking an upper division elective. This one doesn't have to be an EE. You can just take an MAE division. I think mine was aerospace structures that I took, like 562, I can't remember. And then you just take an easy upper division humanities and social behavior science. So your last semester is a little, you know, pretty nice. It's not too packed. However, your capstone class is quite, it takes a lot of work. So that's probably why the last semester they made it pretty chill. Pretty much the difference between Aero and Astro. So just to recap, it's pretty much for the first 2 years, or let's say like 3 semesters, it's pretty much the same. You're taking the same classes. It's very general, a lot of math, a lot of physics, a little bit of chemistry. However, as you progress in the years, become a junior, you can see the difference. Like there, instead of aircraft propulsion, you're taking rocket propulsion, so launch vehicles, and then you're taking more like I don't know, like spacecraft specific classes for Astro. But on the other side, for Aero, you're taking more of like aircraft specific classes. And your capstone is totally different. Your capstone classes are not the same. I think I heard from my Aero friends that for their capstone, they're pretty much designing an aircraft, like a commercial aircraft. However, for us, we have like different projects. I think for them, they only have one. But for us, because it's a whole year, we have like to pick from different mandates. And for example, for me, I am pretty much designing a spacecraft that's gonna take humans to Mars. So yeah, that's pretty much the difference between Aero and Astro. And I wanted to kind of mention something else. A lot of these classes, so one of the hard part about being aerospace is that a lot of these classes like depend on each other. Like you can't take the next class until you took the first class, and you can't take this class until you took the other one. You can't take them at the same time. It has to be before each other. So sometimes it's difficult to not follow this plan just because a lot of the classes are only offered once a year. So like one class is offered only once, like in spring or in fall, during fall. So like if you don't take this class this time, you're gonna have to wait a whole year. And a lot of people got pushed back like a year or two because they failed a certain class and now they have to wait a whole year to take it again. And a lot of people don't want to wait that long, so they switch to either Aero or they switch to mechanical. So you have to keep that in mind if you're going to my school, or I'm speaking about Arizona State University, but I heard that's pretty common for other schools as well. As I said before, and the same goes for Aero as well, the first 2 semesters, the first 2 years, almost like 3 semesters, 4 semesters, is going to be quite boring, as it was for me. And after that, you're gonna get into the classes that you're like, oh, so this is what I signed up for, and it's gonna get more exciting and even more hard. So I was so excited to be in junior year. I was like, oh my god, this is great. I'm taking aerodynamics, I'm taking like everything that's not mechanical, and I'm so happy. But it was as like equally as exciting as difficult, because I had like 5 labs and it was freaking miserable. I was in the library until 5 a.m. like pulling all-nighters and stuff, and it's not like I'm the kind of student who's really organized, but I still freaking had to pull all-nighters. It's not like I was like, oh, I don't want to do work, I'm just gonna do it the day before it's due. I actually start 2 weeks before and I still don't get done the night before. I'm just like, why am I doing this? I should be done. It was I would say it was terrible, but it was fun. Like I look back at it and I'm like, oh, the good times. But yeah, as you can see, they started us as mechanicals, which I'm not really like very excited about because it was quite boring to me. But I don't know, I got to make friends in mechanical engineering. Although I don't see them, I'm still friends with them, and you know, I just had fun in general. So I really hope that this kind of gave you an insight into everything pretty much, and that it was pretty helpful for you. If you have other questions, please make sure to leave them down below, and also add me on Instagram. Like a lot of people send me Instagram messages and I answer them, so like if you want to talk to me directly instead of leaving a comment, if you're like, oh, she's probably not going to see my comment, she's probably not going to answer, then send me an Instagram message with your question, and I will answer it. I pretty much answer all of them except the stupid ones where like someone is like, hi, hello. Like, don't do that. Just don't like send me like DMs like that. If you have a sincere question, anything I can help you, just send me a question. And yeah, make sure you follow me on Instagram. Make sure to please subscribe and comment down below. I would really love to hear of what you thought of this video, and I really hope it was helpful. And yeah, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.